Hello and welcome to episode 51 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft. Joining me, as always, my esteemed co-host and my battery mate, ladies and gentlemen, Seth Martin.
Battery mate?
It's a baseball term. That's what you call the pitcher and the catcher. They're the battery, so they're battery mates. So, in honor of the start of the season tomorrow, well, I mean, the Yankees are playing right now, but the guard season starts tomorrow, which is the real baseball season. You keeping up with the Yankees game?
No, I meant to. It's just, time.
I gotcha. I understand. How's your week going, my friend?
Going pretty good, just busy. It's that kind of time of the year. It's like the middle of the school year. Just kind of taking it one week at a time. It's been good, though. Not great for rivals for me personally, but I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
Yeah, we certainly will. Spring break's coming up for you, right?
Yeah, we're going to the beach, though, so I won't be playing much of anything. And
Ah.
just whatever's on the Switch, too, while I'm there.
Well, perhaps Marvel Rivals will be on the Switch too. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So,
Setting things up for us.
yeah, just a little teaser of what's to come. Sorry for we're a day late. I asked Seth if we could push because it was kind of a crazy real life weekend, but we are happy to be back with you guys this Wednesday. We're recording live over here on twitch.tv/it is Hoagie, where we're going to be recording all of our episodes from now on, so feel free to drop a follow over there. We did get a couple follows between from the last episode from Boy JNZ and Bullseye OW, so thank you guys for those follows over on Twitch. And this is Rival Banter. We get together every week and we talk about all things Marvel Rivals and then push it out to you guys on podcast services everywhere. You can also find us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at Rival Banter. And make sure you join our Discord as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. Nick Tacto over in the Twitch chat says, Sox, dark horse to win the Central this year, Hoagie. And I want whatever he is smoking because the White Sox will continue to suck. But hey, wherever your hopes may lie. All right, Seth, let's jump into some viewer comments. We have a lot to cover today. We actually have quite a bit of news and obviously want to give our thoughts on season 7 so far. Landon over on Spotify said, what a goated patch. Big G locked it in. One of the problems I have with this game is that I don't think people understand characters being good/meta. I feel like as soon as a character is being widely used and is considered OP or meta, they instantly beg for a nerf. They had this illusion of balance, and I guess a perfect world where every character is the same. This defeats the purpose of the game, as the purpose is countering and adapting as the game changes season to season. What do you think, Seth?
I 100% agree with that. I mean, I do think that it's easy to kind of get that idea in mind, like, well, this game is totally unbalanced because we introduced this, like, factor X or whatever it is, and it's like, of course, like, it's going to be different. Usually, those characters are, they do need some tuning at some point, but it's not the end of the world, and they're never going to be perfectly balanced. Again, like, kind of like we always say, it's not just a game of rock paper scissors, like a fancy computerized version of that. It's like, there's nuance to it. You've got to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. It's not about necessarily all about the balance of the game, but it's kind of like how you play the game and with whom you choose to do it. So I like I like what Landon's putting down. I guess we'll talk about that phrase here in a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think that balance is sort of like a pipe dream in a lot of ways in terms of how Landon is describing it, this like perfect utopian world where all the characters are kind of similarly powerful or whatever. I think these kinds of games are at their best when the development team is really working to move people in and out of the meta and not chasing after some sort of like fantasy perfect balance of the game. And look, I get some of the frustrations with rivals because there's characters that have never felt like they've been that strong, or there's characters that have just received infinite nerfs to the point that they're kind of no longer in a viable spot. But so I hope that they take a little more big swings when it comes to some of the balances that they do. I did this made me want to ask you, Seth, because you kind of have this. You're coaching the esports team. I'm sure you hear your students talking about what's strong. What's kind of like their concept of the idea of like meta in that competitive?
I think it differs vastly from person to person in a lot of ways. I think most of the time, though, we kind of agree overall, like that. 2v2 is a pretty dominant strategy. We can agree that there are situations in which triple support can be beneficial or even dominant too. It just I think that they more than I think if like you or I had played this game at their age, I think that they kind of understand it a little bit better, probably because excuse me, they've had other games kind of like this in the past. Like they, are middle school playing Overwatch or, playing Paladins or whatever fancy new game has come along and maybe gone um, in the meantime. Yeah, I think they do probably better than I do sometimes at like kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I think about back in the day playing like Halo 2 on the Xbox, and we played a lot online, and I don't think I was ever thinking about like what's the strongest gun or what's the best loadout to have. It was always just like what felt good to me. I think nowadays with as many content creators as are in various gaming spaces and stuff, like the language of what's meta is a lot more accessible, but I think it can be one of those sort of like elusive terms that people use without fully understanding what it means, because it's really all about what's the strongest combination of characters to achieve success, right? And yeah, I think it gets conflated with a lot of other ideas about character strength, or people think a character's OP, or but just because like they're annoying to play against, when in reality there's certain characters in Rivals that are just always going to be annoying to play against, regardless of how powerful or not powerful they are. I talk about pennies like CC on super low cooldown all the time. Like, but her design in general is just always going to be annoying. So when she's even slightly strong, she's going to feel really strong because of that. And I think people sometimes conflate that with meta, but no, that's interesting that your kids, the kids on your team, have kind of a more developed idea of what that means. Um, cool. Then we have someone over on YouTube who said, was excited mainly for the nerfs, and now I'm not, because majority of comp games I play is everyone playing triple sport, which is boring. Same with quick play, just a little less often because it's quick play. There also seems to be a drought of tank players. We've talked a lot about this, Seth, but I feel like we encountered quite a bit of triple support in the little bit that we played still here in season 7 thus far.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen quite a bit of it too. I think we've mostly been in quick play, or at least I have.
Mm-hmm.
And the little bit that we've played together has been mostly quick play. And yeah, it pops up all the time. So I do kind of agree with like the drought of tank players. I feel like whenever we do have that triple support thing going on, it I believe kind of like you do that it works best when you've got two tanks. You can use those tanks to charge those ultimates from your support players. But I typically don't see that. I see two duelists along with a
Mm-hmm.
vanguard and the three supports. So I don't feel like it works as well because again, there's not enough ult charge kind of building up there to justify the triple support all the time. It can work, sure, but I don't know. I think again, a lot of people like it's that idea. Like people, I think understand the meta, but also they kind of just want to play what they know they're good at. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not always about what you're good at. It's kind of like more about what's going to work and what you can do. It might not be that like you can go negative in this game and like and still win the game. Conceivably, like your whole team could be in negative,
Yeah.
and you can still win because you're playing the objective better, right? You're taking space, you're falling back when it's appropriate, you're peeling for your healers. So like, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I'm sure we can go on for days and days.
Yeah, and it's also important right now, I think, to remember that the the patch is less than a week old, right? So people are still figuring out what's strong, and a lot of people kind of need to be told what's strong, right? So they're kind of waiting for the content to come out about what they should be playing and what comps they should be running and stuff like that. So you're right, Seth. Like I think in these early days, people always kind of will default to like what it is that they feel comfortable playing, and triple support has been just such like an inundated composition in this game right now that it's always it's what people are going to fall back on until they learn that other things are stronger. I'm really curious to see. We'll talk about it more later, but I personally really like the ult changes. I think in 2 weeks it's going to feel a lot different. I think people are going to really start to figure out how to play around this stuff and start to figure out that like, hey, DPS ults are going to be more valuable because you can try to bait out support ults and you're not going to have a third one necessarily to come follow up and stuff like that. So I'd say give it some time. Don't make any. I don't think these nerfs were meant to like kill triple support outright. I think it's just going to take time for people to learn what is strong. Then we have Spare of the Valley over on Instagram said, I think as they globally change ults, I think every single transformation or AoE ult should be capped at 8 seconds. So like Luna, Cloak and Dagger, Penny, Punisher. This would help ults not feel like win buttons. I think Rogue's ult should steal more charge by 5% or introduce more ult steal with a character who can do that. I look at Mantis ult as a perfect support ult. Shorter duration, lower overall healing, but she can continue to do her thing in it. Seth, what do you think about it? Any part of that?
I do not know how I feel about that. I think I was kind of like with you until the Mantis thing, because I don't know. Like I get the idea, but I don't. Perfect seems like a stretch. Like again, I think that's like it's helpful, but I don't know. I personally kind of feel like that's what the support ult is for to a degree. Like maybe it's not a press to win button or to win a fight like Gambit's ult has often been. But I do feel like it's it's meaningful for a reason and it's valuable for a reason. So I don't know if I'm 100% on board with you, but I do definitely get the idea.
I think the game has room for a couple people to have those kinds of ults. I think the problem right now is that there's a lot of supports that have those kinds of ults, and it means that the supports that don't have those kinds of ults don't ever get picked or rarely get picked, mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. I think I get what Spare the Valley's saying though with the Mantis thing of just like this is what a support ult should feel like. It should feel like they're further enabling their team while continuing to do their stuff. I think about like a Lucio ult in Overwatch, right? Like you drop the beat, you get a really like big burst of value out of it that slowly starts to fade off, but you can still do all the Lucio stuff while that ult is up. So I see what they're saying. I do like the idea of capping all of this stuff at 8 seconds. I don't know exactly how that will would like translate as far as feel goes, but like for the longest time the Luna ult I think lasted like 12 or 14 seconds, which is just a crazy long amount of time. And I think
Infinite.
What's that?
Infinite, yeah.
Yeah, especially when there was a Loki out there too. But I like that. I also like the idea of more characters having ult steal abilities. I don't think you can make that too valuable just because then you'd kind of always be forced to have players that can do that. But definitely think that's something they should continue to play around with in people's kits. Right now, Rogue's the only one that has that, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Then KDGR over on TikTok says, I think you're a 2 or 3. This was in response to me saying I was like an 8 or 9 in terms of excitement. I think that they were trying to make a judgment about my appearance or something like that. I don't know. But I'm glad you're excited about Marvel Rivals being more like Overwatch, but they're in competition with each other for a good reasons. I'm reading this how it's written, by the way. If Rivals becomes anything like OW, it will be ruined.
So Seth, heed that warning. Inflection there. What do you think about this one? I feel like I always go first, but talk to me. I can kind of tell what you think about this one. I think as we're going through it.
I think it's a funny comment. That's mainly why I put it in here, and for you to assure me that I'm not a 2 or 3. I don't think I'm an 8 or 9, but I don't think I'm a 2 or 3 either.
So then you're in the messy middle.
Yeah, like
Okay.
as far as attractiveness goes, which I think is what this person was saying.
Hey, you got a wife. You know, you you
Right, but I crave validation.
okay. All
Yeah,
right. Maybe you're
so
a 6 or 7.
um,
I
I,
am. I think go for it. Go
no,
for
I
it.
was just gonna say, in terms of the actual substance of this comment, I think it's almost as ridiculous as the 2 or 3 portion of it, because I'm not saying that I want this game to just be a carbon copy of Overwatch. I think that there are things that Marvel Rivals does well that Overwatch could take take note of and fold into their game. We saw this with them releasing 5 characters at one time because they realized the excitement level that comes with new roster characters. That was motivated by Rivals' aggressive content strategy. So it's not that I want Marvel Rivals to be like Overwatch. It's just there's a reason that Overwatch is fun. One of those reasons is the neutral game and the skill expression in it matters a lot more. And I think that those are things that belong in all hero shooters. Every hero shooter should allow you to have good skill expression, and for the neutral to be important in it. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the actual content.
Yeah, mean, I think the idea of competition we've again talked about before on here too. It's like that's kind of the point of competition is that you kind of drive each other, you challenge each other, you copy each other a little bit, and you iterate upon like you kind of make changes on what you copy. To if you're doing it well, you're kind of making something original that's maybe inspired by something that came before it, and so or maybe continues to kind of grow alongside it. So I think that's kind of more what we think about that game, or about like maybe the similarities between the games. I definitely there's a reason I don't play Overwatch anymore. I would love to if I had the time, but it's kind of just one of those I let fall by the wayside, and I prefer the feel and the vibes and like the gameplay of Marvel Rivals. So that's kind of what I do. I don't want it to be Overwatch, but I could see where you may have come or may have gotten that idea from.
Yeah.
I reckon.
Then JEDJ139 over on TikTok responding to Guangguang Goonin during the cosplay competition says, I completely understand him. He's speaking my language. I'm picking up what he's putting down. He's in my head and I'm cool with it. And Seth, that leads us into our brand new segment of the show. And I have an animation that you're going to have to watch the episode back to see. But here it is. It's Guangguang's Gooner Gallery. All right, it's Guang's Gooner Gallery. It's a little segment I've put together for us to talk about the new skin releases coming to the game this week. I figured that'd be a good segue. We'll come back to our weekend rivals. Don't look at the show notes in a panic, Seth. Okay?
Okay.
I can see you panicking over there. You're hyperventilating.
Yeah.
But our weekend rivals is above Guangguang's Gooner Gallery in the show notes. But I need you to understand, even though we're skipping it, we're gonna come back. Okay?
Yeah, there's a process to it.
Yeah.
I will follow you into the mists of Avalon. I do think so this comment has nothing to do with me, right?
No. He's talking about Guangguang.
I thought I read this and I thought that they were mocking me because I feel like I say all of those things all the time. JEDJ139. If you were doing that, let me know, and then we can arrange a time and place in which to fisticuff. But until then, I like because I feel like every video, like I know as a teacher, I kind of like intentionally do these lines. Like I start every class kind of saying the same stuff, like welcome
Sit
back,
your
ladies
ass
and
down.
germs, happy blah blah blah, some, and like I have kind of like lines in like a structured routine, and so I feel like that kind of bleeds into my real life because I find myself saying the same kinds of things over like catchphrases almost like picking up what he's putting down. I feel like I say that every episode of this show, like he's speaking my language. that's where I thought that Jay was going, but
He
I'm
very well
glad that
could
I
have been, but
may have
I
been.
thought he was just saying that he's like Guangguang and gets
Mm,
it, gooning over the cosplayer. But
mm.
um, and then I thought you were worried that somebody was accusing you of being a gooner, because I know that uh, you're a little what's the word? You're traumatized by a post from a couple months ago.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know where you were going with that, like, because I know what you do.
No. All right, first skin up on the list. We've got the Captain America Brett Hendrick football skin here. I love this. This looks awesome to me. You know anything about this skin other than the fact that it looks cool?
No, I think it looks like dick. I don't really care for this skin a little bit. Maybe it's because I'm like I've tried so hard to be a football fan and it just doesn't ever seem to click for me. But I don't know. I know little to nothing. I'm sure it's. Does it say whether it comes from? Usually, there's kind of that like little footnote to a skin, at least in the game, that says kind of the source, whether it's from Marvel Rivals, like as an original, or whether it's from a comic, like first appearance.
Yeah, it didn't say, but I'm looking. Brett Hendrick, and I'm sure DC Brenton out there in the Discord of Fear is losing his mind that we don't know this. But let's see. I'm not seeing anything about Brett Hendrick outside of this skin uh,
Hmm.
in Rivals. So I don't know if this is maybe, uh, yeah, just a Marvel Rivals exclusive here.
That's what I kind of feel like. I don't know. Like, I mean, I get it. It's fine. I just don't really have like the urge. It's not really like calling out to me. Now, if he were wearing like a soccer kit or something like that, I feel like I don't know. There's something sleek and agile about like the short shorts, the the kind of like tight fit shirt. I guess this is tight too in its own way.
Yeah,
Whatever.
in some ways. Also, where's his shield? I'm curious what his shield looks like with this skin, or if he's just going to have
Yeah, yeah, same.
his standard shield. So this is the second kind of football related release after there was the thing emote where he put the helmet on,
Oh
um,
yeah.
and it makes me wonder. Flag football is going to be a part of the next Olympic Games. Or the LA Games in 2028, and there's already starting to ramp up the like pre-qualifiers or whatever, and it's making me wonder if perhaps we got basketball in Marvel Rivals now. Will we get some sort of limited time football event at some point? Are they starting to fold in some of these cosmetics because there's something coming in the future?
Could be cool. I mean, I guess they could do anything. Like we could be playing handball in this game or whatever. Pocket pool. Um,
My favorite mobile app. uh, he is never living down the Gooner allegations, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
yeah.
We also have the Daring Duo Cloak and Dagger skin trailer. And Cloak has legs, sort of, quote unquote.
Leg. I guess they also seem to be like blades.
Yeah, they're like, it's like two blade peg legs, and the bottom half of them is made of wood.
Yeah, it is.
uh, yeah, again, our resident lore expert DC Brenton did put something about this skin in the Discord, and then I asked. So he said, so we got stabbing legs. This is actually way weirder than I was anticipating. Not sure how I feel about it. And I replied and said, what the fuck am I looking at here? Because like, is this something that he just has sometimes? Why are they so averse to just giving the man some real legs? Like, what's going on here, Seth?
I have no idea. I'm like, how does he use them? Like, is he like doing kicks and like roundhouses? Like, but they cut you to death? Is he like kind of like just like pulling his hips up and just kind of doing like a yeah 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 kind of thing. Like how more? I'm curious as to the function.
Also, if he lives within Dagger, does she feel those? Do they hurt? You know,
Hmm.
we're asking big questions here. This is also a legendary skin, even though I don't think it looks all that legendary. I saw somebody, I think it was on Reddit, commenting about how um, it feels like they're just making every Cloak and Dagger skin legendary because they have to make two skins, like a skin for two different characters in it. I'm like, you
Yeah,
know what? That
makes
and that
sense.
Michael Jordan went to the MLB because he got suspended for a year in the 90s. Those are the two conspiracy theories, I believe.
Hmm.
You ever heard that conspiracy theory stuff?
No.
Do you believe any conspiracy theories?
I feel like everyone is a little bit true. Probably not all the way true, but I think they're seeds.
But aliens definitely built the pyramids.
I mean, it's indisputable, right? If you follow the facts. I love this, like just kind of an anecdote. One of my favorites, not favorite conspiracy theories, but I do love a good like JFK
Yeah.
tale. And my one time in Texas, I was at a conference for like an educational conference in Dallas, and we went to what is it? Freedom Tower, I think is that what it's called? The whatever the big ball shaped tower is in Dallas, and kind of right at the top, you walk around or whatever. And then I think we were going to the JFK Museum where he was shot at Daly Plaza, and the Uber on the way there, the driver he was Dallas born and bred. He was a wealth of information, and he just kind of very casually told us all about how what really happened with JFK.
Do you care to enlighten us?
I don't remember much of it. I mean, it was pretty out there. He recommended some like arcane documentaries that I guess had aired on the History Channel at some point. But I think if I remember right, he said they like pulled them. Like you can't really find them anymore unless you go to certain websites or whatever. Probably because they were too real.
Mm.
Um, it was entertaining. I was in there with like some history teachers, and they were fascinated.
Yeah, I do love a good JFK conspiracy as well. I'm of the mind that he was killed by the mafia. So,
Mm.
all right, then we've got the Flight Mode World Tour merch Volume 2 event coming, and it features a skin for Star-Lord, Magik, and Namor. Seth, what do you think of these?
That Namor skin's got a little something going on there. There's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of mystery,
Doesn't need
and
to
he's
be.
like, he's got that emote. He's popping his legs back and forth. He's making stuff bulge and pop. Um, that's cool. It's not really for me, but I guess I can appreciate it. The magic is where I'm sure Guangguang
Yeah.
is freaking out. He's got a poster of that on his wall, like the leg pom poms, the cuffs. She turns around and baba boom. She's got like disco ball arms. Like she's shining. She's like a diamond. She's majestic.
Yeah, and this one is a legendary. It's got custom visual effects. I think custom sound effects as well. I think the Dark Trial model looks really cool in this
Hmm.
skin as well. Um, I do think that this pass is a little bit odd that it's three DPS characters. If we had three DPS characters in a pass like this and no support or tank,
I don't think so.
yeah, it's very, very DPS heavy. I do like this Star Lord skin. I don't really play any of these characters. I guess Namor is probably the one I have the most hours on, but
Yeah, like if I had to pick one for sure.
yeah.
I
But the
Why do
Star
they
Lord skin's
all
sick too.
have to look like strippers? I feel like
Well,
those
come
the
on, Seth. What a
Namor
question.
and the both of the male skins, they just look like they're in the Chippendales catalog or whatever. Like they're just sexy disco men.
Look, man, if you're gonna have ripped superheroes all throughout your game, you gotta you gotta show them off. You know.
I
So
guess so.
so I'm not mad about it. I think even though that's not a pass with a lot of characters I'm interested in, that feels like a very quality pass. Those three skins are three really good skins. So I'm here for that event. And you know what? I might even purchase this one just to,
Hmm.
because you know how it is, Seth. You don't think you're interested in a character, and then like 2 years into the game, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna become a Star Lord player, and you want a nice skin to play with, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. A lot of skins I kind of feel like you can wait on in that regard, or like sometimes they give you the choice now of like picking a skin from an older event that you maybe didn't get, and so I kind of feel a little disincentivized to buy skins for that reason. But I do definitely get the idea, and that has happened to me where like I never dreamed that I would play much Mr. Fantastic, and now he's one of like my two most played DPS characters when I'm in that role. Same thing for like I don't know. I never really thought I'd be much of a Hulk player that much, or like Doctor Strange. But here I am. I'm like creeping up on Lord with him. Hulk, I'm like like level 14 or something like that. So like it's climbing up there a little bit. And they aren't characters that I really played for a long, long time. Probably like almost the first year of the game. Just kind of circled, found my way back to them.
Mm-hmm. And the passes are just such good value, right? Like you're going to get these three skins for $7 to $10, and if these skins were released in the shop, they'd each be at least $24. So I'm all about supporting these passes. All right, Seth, let's jump into our week in Rivals, and we're going to kind of smash this together with our topic of the week, which is just reacting to season 7, to White Fox and the changes that we're seeing. But what did you get up to in game this week? How much did you get to play?
So I was in back in Charlotte. We spent the weekend with some family and went to a Charlotte FC match. Got those cool Serminti basketball jerseys. And so I was out of town for the weekend. I didn't get to play any of the season 7 drop until like late Sunday night, and I was exhausted. We've been like out all day. We came home, had to visit people and all that stuff. It had been a few weeks, so I very little play. I've played a few matches at school here and there, some 18v18. You and I played one competitive match last night.
Lost.
To our yeah, we lost to our chagrin. And yeah, no, I don't think like it. When I thought I was going to be like pleasantly surprised because I'd heard people kind of complaining about all these losses, how different the game feels, and just like how it seems impossible to win right now compared to, you know, previous times. And, our first round was going really, really well. We were rolling. And then all of a sudden, as it happens, things changed and just the team fell apart. So overall, I mean, it's just kind of a weird place. I think even like you and I haven't put, upwards of 500-600 hours into the game over the past year and some change. It like changes like these when they're kind of drastic are going to even affect people like us because I mean it does, even though everybody kind of like is doing the same kinds of stuff, it feels different to play kind of like in the moment to moment, like fight to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been rough. I have been in the pit of despair. Yay, Seth. I am walking through the shadow of the valley of death, and you know, it's unfortunate. I must report there is no God down here. Okay, He has abandoned us in the Marvel Rivals land. I have not won a game that has not been against a bot in what feels like all of my 30s. And I'm a 36-year-old man at this point, Seth. I believe it has been 6 years since I've won a game of Marvel Rivals, and I am thirsting for
It
the
is.
pool of
It's something
victory.
about. Well, you and I won one match last night, and like in a quick play, and then we were like, we felt good after that one match. I don't know why. We both agreed like, hey, let's go try a comp, and then it happened, and we just went to like 18v18. I think after that,
Yeah.
we were done with the 6v6, but it yeah, I think it's you.
I
Not
do.
like
Yeah.
not that you're like doing any or playing poorly or anything like that, but like I've played matches on my own in quick play or whatever, and like today I played probably 3 or 4 matches I think, and I won like all of them.
I'm so good at
And
Marvel Rivals.
no. I mean, I played pretty poorly in a couple of them, as a matter of fact. But I don't know. Like I just it when the past couple of times that you and I have played together, like we're just like just dog shit. We can't get a win in, and I feel like it's not really that weird dog shit. It's just that like we're going up against legends, people that have like they've learned Marvel Rivals on the teat or something like that. It's only been out for a year and a little more, but yeah.
Yeah, or we have literally the dumbest motherfucker on the face of the planet on our team. It's one or the other, right?
There were some weird invis ults that we were getting yesterday in those games. That was you and I, right? When we were
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
those, okay, just like randomly, like between fights, the
yeah,
other teams retreating, pow,
yeah.
have an
Like
invis.
they were rolling a d20 to figure out when they were gonna ult, and it was like every time it lands on a 17, we're doing it.
I think I'm gonna explode.
Yeah. And I've also just been running into, and I've probably said this in previous episodes, just a lot of like really unexplainable change, like composition change. And that was the game we played yesterday, right? Like we were playing a dom match. I didn't feel like we were getting our shit kicked in or anything. It was a close match, but we just had 2 players on our team who could not decide what role they wanted to be in, and we were 3 tanks, 2 supports, and 1 tank, 3 supports. Just all over the place for no rhyme or reason. And one thing we didn't really talk about with the ult changes is the cost of switching now, right? Like the cost of switching goes up a little bit more when you're having to take longer to charge your ults up. And so, but yeah, it just, the game has felt weird, not because of anything that the game is doing, but because I log on, play a couple games, and I wish I had looked at my match history, because I've won some games over the last couple of weeks, but it has been a very small percentage of them. So, but let's jump into and talk about some of the like actual changes, Seth. The big one, there's 2 big ones, obviously. There's White Fox, which we'll get to, but let's talk more about the ult changes that were implemented. Do you feel the difference? What do you think about it so far?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel it. I think I feel it in a couple of roles more than one in particular. I know the few games that I've played DPS characters, I feel like I'm still getting ults left and right whenever I'm in that role. For some reason, I know that like different roles kind of get like reductions for certain things depending on the role. But across the board, there's supposed to be kind of like a 20% cut to that ult charge speed, and I don't really feel it when I'm playing those characters. I don't know. I feel it a little bit more when I'm playing Vanguard, but I definitely feel it when I'm playing. I feel like strategists got hurt the most just in my limited gameplay time
Mm-hmm.
that we've had this week. I feel like, and again, I think strategists are the ones that are offset more so because they're the ones who like they don't get the passive gain, if I'm remembering how
I
that
think it's a
works right.
lower amount of the passive gain. Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of have to be more active, and yeah, it feels like a crawl, and that kind of goes against what I think our person was saying earlier, like that these ults from a lot of support characters are just like pressed to win, and it's kind of not so much the case with that anymore because they are so few and far between.
Yeah, you definitely have to be more thoughtful about when you're going to ult, for sure. And I'm with you. You definitely feel it a lot more playing support than you do in the other roles. Like I was playing Thing in a couple matches last night. Felt like I was able to get him at a pretty decent clip. But yeah, playing Cloak and Dagger, playing White Fox, only getting 3 or 4 ults in a game, whereas previously you'd get 6 or 7. And I personally really like that change. Yeah, 6, 7. I think it makes those early DPS ults way more valuable too, right? Like, so you go out there with Squirrel Girl, right? You can get your ult within like in before the your strategists have like 75% of their ult. So if you're a DPS player, just fire off that first ult. Don't like start looking for the most value out of it. Like, they're not going to have anything to respond to you with it. And I think that's an okay change, but this definitely feels like the first of what's perhaps going to be kind of many global change steps that they're going to have to implement to really make it feel good, because so many of the supports in the neutral don't feel great. And with the damage output from DPS especially, it makes it really hard to like invest your resources in a tank to keep them up. I don't know how you felt, but I felt like I was having a lot harder of a time maintaining the health pools of my my Vanguard teammates here lately. Mm-hmm. And so I think they're going to have to do some scaling back of like overall like damage output for characters and stuff like that. But I think this is a positive change, and I'm a support main. These changes hurt me the most. But it's still like, I feel like it's healthy for the game, and it's not just a big like particle effect explosion in your face all game long from all of the different ultimates. But I am curious if this will sort of tamp down the frequency of triple support. I know we talked about it already. Like, I still felt like it was still very, very common in the games that we played and the games that I played by myself as well. It's still definitely a really solid counter pick option in many scenarios. So I'm wondering if it's just that we haven't really uncovered what the strong thing to replace it is yet. But it's definitely not like triple Vanguard, because I just don't think the healing's there, you know?
For sure. Maybe Goats is where it's at now.
There we go. Let's get the triple tank, triple sport. Dude, if you can find a game with 3 people willing to play tank, go buy a lottery ticket. Seriously, you're the luckiest motherfucker on the planet. But yeah, how about White Fox? Did you get a chance to play?
No, I haven't touched her. I don't really want to. I think I'm gonna. I'm kind of more tempted maybe after this patch that's coming up. I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit. I mean, she like I liked the look of her going in like before season 7 launched. Since then, I've been pretty underwhelmed, just kind of across the board with what I've seen from other people playing her. And it's just kind of like I haven't really had the urge to get in there myself. I'm sure like I'll get there at some point. Like I'll just kind of get like the desire to try something new or just kind of play around with her kit. But right now, I don't know. She's just kind of I'm not very impressed.
Yeah, I've played a lot with White Fox, both in 18v18 and in 6v6. One thing is just I don't feel like anyone's rushing to go pick her up, at least in the ranks we're playing in, right? Like, and you mentioned that like the kids on your esports team were like her healing output just doesn't feel like it's there.
For the most part, there are like 1 or 2 that are like there's kind of like a debate, like a strong debate going on between some of these players. I hope it doesn't tear the team apart.
We're
like
getting
one player,
we're getting the inside scoop on the high school esports drama.
Right. We one player like created a list of pros and cons. The cons far outweighed the pros from this player.
Very interested. What were some of these cons? Do you remember any?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It mostly had to deal with stuff like it was kind of talking about. I still haven't played or wrapped my mind around her kit fully. There was a lot of specific stuff. Maybe if I can think about it, maybe I'll try to take a picture and look at that. I can send it to you later. Pop it in the Discord or something like that. But then again, we've got some players who kind of who just vehemently disagree. Most seem to agree that she's not really where it's at right now.
Yeah, I'm really curious because we got MRI starting up this week, and I am very interested in where she's going to land in kind of the pro meta, both because of just where she is just naturally, but also I think there's going to be a lot of support bans that happen. So, is this going to be like a pocket character? I think she works in a lot of kind of specific situations, and playing into her, I think, has made me realize more of those than necessarily playing with her. But I think she has a pretty consistent soft CC ability with her charm. I think when you learn to kind of juggle the cooldown with that secondary fire that she has, and then being able to juggle the shielding. I think that she's a more complicated character than I originally thought she was going to be after just watching the sort of reveal trailers, right? Because she has long cooldowns. You have a recharge mechanic like, Mantis does, where, you have to recharge her tails that she has. And so you kind of have to get into a rhythm playing with her and really feel out the cooldowns. I also think I'm just now starting to figure out the value of her like secondary melee form as well, and the ability to kind of dash and steal characters out and push them into your back line. I'm starting to have even more fun with her now that I'm starting to understand her kit a little bit more, and I think it's going to be even more fun with the balance update stuff that's coming that we'll talk about here in a minute. But she definitely feels a lot more like an off support. You're more empowering your teammates to do stuff. You can focus a little bit more on dealing damage than you have to on healing, and she has a lot of abilities to she's very good. She's sort of like Invis-esque in the terms of how much damage she can block with her like shielding ability for her dash. So I'm having fun, but I think she's mainly going to be played to kind of counter dive because of her charm. And then I think running Thing into her just felt miserable. Like because it's very Penny-esque, right? Like she's got a pretty short cooldown soft CC that she can throw out. It's less frustrating than getting just totally stunned. But yeah, I think she released in a pretty good spot. She doesn't feel overpowered, but she feels like she has a place. And then we only played the one comp match, Seth, but the 3 bands. We have the 3 bands now.
We had a pretty. I feel like we had a pretty tame experience. Just that one isolated match. I don't.
Yeah.
It was pretty balanced. I feel like we had like almost like a 2-2-2.
Yeah.
Going on there. But I've heard like horror stories from a lot of other people kind of saying like, oh God, like I've had, they banned 6 different strategists in the same game. So like it leaves you with like Ultron and Adam or something like that. Or, just some comp that might not be the most tenable. And, you kind of have to figure out on the fly how to work around that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be interested to see kind of how it plays out with like MRI, because those bands already can get kind of wild. Like I think we saw that kind of support situation happen in one of the final games.
Yeah.
Was it between FlyQuest and
Thieves, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it was Thieves.
Okay.
But yeah. I don't know. It's tough because like in MRI at least you can protect a character, right? So like if you really want Gambit and he gets through the first round of bans, you can protect him. I don't know how you can fold that into the ranked experience, right? Because everyone's just going to want to protect the character that they're going to play or that they're hovering or whatever. Now whether or not they add maybe like a role limit to the number, like you can only ban up to 3 strategists in a match or something like that, just to keep people from doing that, because I think that could be frustrating in any regard, right? Like if 6 tanks get banned out, which I don't think that would probably ever happen, but there's not that many viable tanks that people want to play. And so it could be disastrous if you just everyone spends all their stuff on Vanguard. So I think that they'll probably have to come up with some creative solutions in the future. But for now, yeah, I'm just kind of interested to see how it plays out overall.
Mm-hmm.
But let's jump into some news, Seth. We got our new balance update that we've been kind of talking about here, with changes coming to three different characters. We have a nerf to the mobility of Deadpool, slightly reducing the hazardous hijinks and his let's see. Let's just read this. Slightly reduced Deadpool's mobility. We notice some players using extreme inputs to execute a rapid cycle combo of kick-ass katanas, hazardous hijinks, bunny hop. This change will limit the burst potential of these extreme maneuvers while having almost no impact on players using normal inputs. So I like that. And then bunny bounce, bunny hop, and healing hop now have a 0.5 second cooldown after a successful refresh. This was never something that I personally ran into being overpowered. Not maybe even anything I would have thought would need changed, but this is probably something targeted at like higher elo players.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too.
Then also Bloodstone's getting a little bit of a nerf to her base health, which again, guys, just take the fucking free overhealth she gets from her dash abilities. Like, I don't think this is hard, but whatever. I guess that's okay. And then the big one is White Fox is getting getting a few changes that I think are going to be positive. First of all, upon respawning or exiting her ultimate ability, White Fox will now gain full stacks of Spirit Tail energy. So you'll be able to, convert into your cat form or your fox form and dash away. So I think that's good because a lot of times you're just a sitting duck after her ult finishes and you just get blown up. Spectral Surge, new effect. Casting this ability now provides 50 healing to White Fox. So when you dash to a player, you also get health. I think that's what I'm still learning the names of the abilities for her. Then reducing the one-time healing of Spirit Sanctuary from 70 to 50. But the new effect is that while the shield is active, so her little thing on the ground, the circle on the ground, now provides 20 seconds healing over time to allies and White Fox within the shield's range. So you'll be able to stand in that and receive not only shielding from damage coming in, but also healing. And then during her ultimate ability, casting Blessed by the Nine no longer consumes White Fox's health. However, Blessed by the Nine now has a 2-second cooldown, which I think is a good change as well, because her ult is just, I'm going to turn into a giant meatball. Everybody's going to look at me and shoot me and burst me down. So giving her more survivability in her ult, I think, is a good thing. Not having some of those kiss kill mechanics for that ult. So I'm excited about these changes. I'm already having a lot of fun with White Fox, but I think survivability and mobility are have been two of the weaknesses in some ways. She's got a lot of mobility in her kit, but like I said, after her ult, you could just die instantly. So I think these are going to be positive changes. Seth, what do you think both about the changes, but also just about this whole hey, we're gonna be releasing mid-season patches now that we've got in the last two half seasons?
I mean, I guess it's just kind of I think to some degree, this is kind of a response to the kind of the underwhelming nature of especially White Fox right now. They've definitely I feel like Elsa's already got 5 nerfs to her in the short time that we've had with her already. They called one of them an emergency patch because it just had to be dealt with right then and there. I'm anxious. I'm kind of more interested to see what White Fox is going to look like after this launches. What, tomorrow? Is that it?
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow.
Okay. So yeah, I think that might be, maybe I'm going to kind of keep my ear to the ground, kind of feel out what's going on with her post patch, and maybe then start to kind of play around with her kit a little.
Yeah, we oh shit, I totally brain farted what I was going to say. Anyway, technically this is our third patch of this season, right? There was the originally announced balance changes, then they did the little play test for 2 days before, did a patch to change some characters like Black Panther and stuff in that, and now we've got this patch. So I think it's cool that they're willing to address stuff quickly now. I love seeing this. I want to see more of this. I think this is what marks a healthy game, coming in and changing and listening to feedback and responding quickly. And if something doesn't work, you can just reverse it. Like I'd rather us have more changes that we can respond to find what works rather than having to wait a month to get something brand new.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's. Oh, not Xing out of that. Let's move on to the next story, which I think is really exciting. The MRI in-game team bundles have all been officially revealed for the partner teams, and it's going to include this Deadpool skin where he's wearing a jersey or a shirt design for each of the partner teams, and then it also includes a spray, a mood, avatar, and an emoji. Seth, I know you're loving these, right?
I am, but you said it officially revealed. Are they officially revealed, or is this just like a thing on Reddit?
No, this is official. This is what these bundles are going to be.
Okay, I didn't see that information drop. Again, I haven't spent a lot of time on social media. I absolutely love these. I am a space station fan. I think I've kind of decided I'm going to keep rolling with them and follow them in MRI. But this 100 Thieves skin, like I was kind of starting to pick up 100 Thieves a little bit toward the end, especially when we went to watch those grand finals, or, like the live weekend, the first Rivals event that they had, and I this thing is sick. Like just the red, I guess, make like kind of blending. The red and black goes along with Deadpool's just like kind of general outfit already. I think all of these look awesome. When I saw like the kind of Deadpool skin with the blue and the T-shirt that kind of came in this pass that's out right now, I was kind of not that optimistic. I was kind of the opposite, just because I didn't think it looked great. But these are a lot more kind of sleek. So there's a lot kind of, I guess, more like designed to them more than just like a simple plain T-shirt. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great. I love the little accents and unique touches like to whatever that kind of connector that holds his katana
Yeah.
on his back. Like that's different depending on which skin you have or which team you're following. I'm down with this. I will 100% be purchasing at least one, if not two of these.
Yeah, there's something in a lot of these that I want. So like in the 100 Thieves one, I want that 1,000 yard stare Jeff mood that they're offering. I want the playing for the vibe spray that's in. Who was that? Was that Genji that had? No, it wasn't Genji. Who had the playing for the vibes? Oh, Team Heretics has the playing for the vibes. I'm a FlyQuest fan, so I definitely want the FlyQuest one. I love that NRG Shock's back in, so I'll probably pick theirs up. I also just love this approach, right? I know that Marvel has likely had to get, or I'm sorry, Marvel Rivals has likely had to get creative with how they were going to implement team branding onto these characters, because I'm sure there's a lot of stipulations around what they can and can't do with the Marvel IP. And I think this is a fun solution, right? They're not editing their costumes at all. It's just something that's going over top of their costume. And I think that they're already kind of testing out other characters, because in the season pass, you've got the Thor and Loki skins, the low key skins where they both have t-shirts on, and I could very well see them just putting the esports team jerseys on them in place of that. So I love this approach. I love just the overall investment that Rivals is showing for their esports scene, with these bundles, with the MRI hub that was added in the season 7 stuff. It seems like NetEase wants this to succeed and is doing all of the right moves to help it to succeed. And I'm interested to see if they fold in the broadcast into like Times Square or anything this weekend.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I was not expecting like them to go to this degree with MRI. Like we of course like talked about the news where they were investing so much more kind of in this second season coming up. this is kind of across the board. Just like it's way more than I thought we would have. The in-game hub alone, I was kind of surprised to see, and it kind of took me a minute to kind of figure out what was going on there, and like unlocking little sprays and stuff. But whatever. Uh, yeah, I think this is super helpful. To have just kind of, and plus it's just like a reminder. I think it's easy enough to forget that MRI or like the championship series is there to begin with, especially if you're not like heavily invested in the game and keeping track of things online. So this I think just makes it a lot easier to kind of follow and keep in touch. I love that they have like you can get rewarded for predictions, kind of like you're
Mm-hmm.
making yourself a little bracket, that kind of stuff. It's just a nice touch to have to kind of promote the thing they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I hope other games are taking note of what they're doing with this game, because not only can you make predictions and see the schedule, but you can click in, see rosters, you can see overviews of who the teams are, like what makes them sort of special, gives you a little history of the tournaments that they've won. I think you can even click in on the players and get some more info on them too.
Oh, I've not done all that yet.
There's just like a wellspring of information for the esports scene in there that I think is going to benefit. It also gives me a lot of hope that we'll get eventually an MRI app that I can download and have on my phone to keep up, because all an app is pulling from housed information in a database. They have all that information already. It looks like it's going to be live updating on the game client anyway. Give me an app, NetEase. Come on, I want to keep up with MRI on my phone and make these predictions and stuff from my phone. But I love to see it, man, and I hope this is just indicative of how good this season of Marvel Rivals Ignite is going to be. Starting tomorrow, I think, is the preseason events. So wait,
I need to remember. That's my biggest thing, is just remembering when it's on, and then like finding the time to sit down and actually like lock in, focus on the gameplay.
Yeah, I'll try to text you and remind you if I'm sitting down and watching it to let you know. So all right. Then we got a bunch of information from some interviews that Guangguang and Danny Koo did, I think, with IGN. And we're going to kind of rapid fire through these because we're right at the hour mark. But first, Marvel Rivals is coming to Nintendo Switch eventually. So this was from IGN talking with Danny Koo. Asked him if there's going to be a Switch 2 version. He said, quote, "We're working on it, but when we have news, we'll announce that one," end quote. And then just to be super sure, he was really confirming a Switch 2 version of that. The author, Rebecca Valentine, reworded the question and asked again, and he again confirmed, saying, "We will do it." Seth, I think we've talked about a Nintendo Switch 2 version of this game. It only makes sense, right?
I think so. I mean, I think the limitations of the Switch 1 were kind of like the primary reason that we don't have this kind of thing already. I do kind of like wonder how great a port like that would be.
If this shit can
If you
run on
think about
PS4, it can run on Nintendo Switch 2.
yeah, but it doesn't fully run on PS4, right?
That's
Like,
true.
aren't there certain limitations
Like
in
Zombies
game
wasn't
modes?
there, yeah.
Yeah, and I can live with stuff like that. I would love to be able to just kind of play like quick play matches on my Switch too. That would be like an awesome way, just like where you're watching some kind of like brain dead show on TV. Just kind of like have or listen to a podcast or whatever. Just kind of play through a couple rounds on your Switch. I did that with Overwatch a few times way back in the day. It was never like the ideal place to play, but it was a nice way to just kind of like knock out some matches, hit some dailies or something like that. Um, I want this. I just don't want it to be done poorly. I'm sure NetEase, like, not to imply that they would, but I I would like it to be, a somewhat viable, like, feel good experience, and not just like I'm kind of gritting, grinding my teeth. I know like usually these kind of like games that are cross platform like this kind of suffer a little bit when they're moving to the Switch, like watching the differences in like 2K, if you're playing NBA 2K, between like the Switch 2 and your PS5, it's pretty noticeable. Same thing with like Mortal Kombat 1, I think, and some other games like that that have been on the Switch and are on this. Like, there's like a graphical fidelity issue going on there, number one, and number two, like I can't imagine doing Doctor Strange portals and getting those going on in the map at the same time. It's kind of bonkers to me, but I would love to see it.
Do you have a Switch 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't have a Switch 2 yet. I don't know if I'll even ever get a Switch 2, but yeah, I mean, the more platforms this game is on, the better. So I'm all about it. And having this game on the go might be an incentive for me to want to get a Switch 2 at some point. Another story from this series of interviews over on IGN. Original characters aren't coming to Marvel Rivals anytime soon. It says, and this is from Michael Kripe over on IGN. It says, we caught up with creative director Guangguang and executive producer Danny Koo to learn more about the trajectory of their ongoing superhero shooter at GDC, while opening up about how NetEase plans to maintain its one hero per month live service strategy. The pair touched on whether players could soon see an original character created just for Marvel Rivals. The short answer, probably not, or at least not anytime soon. Quote, we have so many right now, and it's not the time, end quote, Koo said. How do you feel about this, Seth?
Yeah, I don't know who wants this. I'm sure there are some people out there. I have no desire to see original characters dropped into this game. Like I think there's just so much to pull from already. Like, why would you do that? Why would anybody like really want that to be a thing? Like, sure, more stuff's better. New stuff can be cool, but like when you're like waiting with bated breaths for Cyclops to come out, and you get like orangutan Joe, like some kind of random superhero that you've never heard of before, and that you didn't want in the first place. Like I feel like that would kind of be detrimental to the game, especially if it's like a major character drop at the season or mid-season mark.
Yeah. I'm totally with you. I think we talked about this even when we had when they originally were talking about how they had the license to do it. They were allowed to introduce new characters, and how it should be something that, maybe for a special event, a special anniversary event far in the future or something. Maybe when Marvel Rivals turns 5, we're gonna launch our own character or something. But yeah, you're right. As long as people are wanting, Cyclops and Thanos, and there's all kinds of villains that people want to see. I think Guangguang mentioned that he really wants to make sure Ghost Rider gets into the game at some point. When you have those kinds of characters, doing something original would feel bad. And it's also just the strongest thing about your IP or about your game is the IP that it's attached to. Like, why would you just completely surrender that to introduce a new character? And then in the same vein, the team over at Rivals has ruled out non-Marvel Rival crossovers. This comes from the interview with IGN, and Guangguang and Danny Koo gave some insights. Let's see, where was the quote? Sorry. It says, as for anything outside of the Marvel universe, we shouldn't get our hopes up. Quote, non-Marvel? We have so many characters in Marvel, we're not looking outside of Marvel. We do have collaborations with other Marvel games, let's say, at this point. We have so much content, end quote. This makes sense to me too, right? Like, you're not going to go out and do like a K-pop Demon Hunter season. Don't make it like Fortnite. There's like a rich tapestry of content within the universe that you can tap into, and valuable partnerships within the IP itself that you can go after. So I'm not, put off by this at all. And then the last story on the list, Seth, and we're not going to spend much time on this. I just want to bring it up. But Support Strike 2.0 is here, and it is as stupid as the first one. And Cellophane over on Twitter posted, where's the original post? Oh, I don't have a Twitter account, so I can only see the reply post. But basically he started this Discord server. He's been organizing sit-ins in Times Square. He used this terrible AI art to say that you should support this support strike. And the point of the strike is the demands are that they want something to be done about the ban system, and that the alt charge changes has left the support role gutted. And so until their stuff is demanded, they're either not going to be playing support, or they will be playing support but not healing their teammates. Come on, guys. We're fucking bombing Iran. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. There are genocides happening in the world. We can do without a support strike. Okay? Seth?
Play the game. Play the video game.
Or don't. If it makes you so mad, you have to go over to ChatGPT and say, produce me an image of 3 support characters at a rally, and then post that up on Twitter for some clout. Just stop playing the game. It's not hard. There's plenty of other games. There's at least 5 or 6 other games that exist out there. Go play Madden or Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
I used to think you made that game up, and
no, it's a real thing.
It was like Sega Genesis, right?
Yeah, it was like it was a Tetris-esque game for Sega Genesis. Me and my sister played it all the time. Love that game. You gonna be joining the support strike, Seth?
Can't say I will. I didn't join the first one. Not really. I guess I'm not a union guy. In that way.
Oh, well, that's it. We got it. There we go.
They don't have those things here in Virginia. The same way that you ex-Californians do. Does Carolina have unions?
I don't think so. Not very many, if they do.
Okay. Yeah.
One final question before we get out of here, Seth. What do you think about the season pass? We didn't talk about the season pass.
I think we kind of talked about it. I have yet to purchase it. I guess that's true. I don't know. Like, this one really didn't speak to me that much. I don't really want many or any of the skins. Like, the only thing that I really kind of want out of it is just like the access to units and currency, but or chrono tokens, whatever. And that drive where you can get the 100 units for every 1,000 chrono tokens at the end. Like, that's kind of the one thing that I do want.
What about Naked Adam?
Naked Adam's not really calling to me. He's not speaking to me this go round. 3-headed Naked Adam or whatever.
What's happened to you?
3-faced, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm changing. The college skins, like, I think, where's the Mr. Fantastic one with the headphones? Is that in the battle pass, or is that?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, that might be the one thing. I don't know if it's free or not in there, but I think that's like the only skin I really saw that I was like, hell yeah, let's get that going.
Yeah, let's see. I'm scrolling through these real quick just to see if there's which ones speak to me. No. Naked Adam does speak to me. And I've already purchased the pass. I just purchased it on Respawn. So Naked Adam speaks to me. This is the worst list of skins. Sorry, I'm going elsewhere. I do like the Doctor Strange skin with him in like the lab coat. I think that one's fine. The Penny skin at the end is sick. The level 10 or page 10 skin is great. But yeah, the rest of these, I'm not really about any of them. So
yeah, the Loki and the Thor, I'm like, not. I could leave those behind. Yeah, I don't know if I will buy this one. I guess it just depends on how much I want those units. I could also just like spend some regular money on getting those, the gold to convert into units or whatever. So yeah, I this might be the first pass that I do not purchase. The first kind of like seasonal battle pass, but I might cave at some point. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. So Seth, what are you going to be getting up to in game? You trying to jump back into ranked?
I would like to jump back into ranked. I really do. I feel like I'm losing time. I thought I had all the time in the world in season 6, because we started off, so much better than we had in other seasons. We placed into Gold 1. We were right there at Plat, and we were like, we're going to sweep through. And I know I got hard stuck in Diamond 2. I think you got pretty hard stuck in Diamond 3, going back down into Plat a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was tough. I don't know if this is going to be the season, kind of like, based off what we're seeing with all these changes, but it's nice to dream.
Look, this game owes me a 2-week win streak, so we could very well get into GM based off of that. So yeah, I do want to jump back into rank too. I like getting the diamond rewards, and I feel like diamond is just like completely attainable all the time for us. So, but yeah, if we can make it to GM, that'd be great. And yeah, I'm excited about the White Fox changes coming as well. But yeah, and my weekend is going to be a lot less crazy than it was last weekend, so I'm going to have a lot more time to play and give more thoughts on the patch in next week's episode. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you leave us a comment to let us know what you're thinking about the new Season 7 patch, what you think about White Fox or the esports bundles. And until next week, everybody, good luck in your games. Good luck on the climb. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.